Hello, and welcome to a special bonus series of Locked on Lakers podcast where we talk with ESPN's Tim MacMahon about his new book detailing the life and career of Luka Dončić. Part 3, the finale, is coming up next.
You are Locked on Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thanks for making Locked on Lakers your first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, and occasionally on weekends. Everywhere you get your podcasts, it's always free. It's never going to be behind a paywall. And Locked on Lakers on YouTube is where you can watch with a community of over 34,000 subscribers. Really fun, smart, energetic group of really just rabid Laker fans leaving a lot of comments. We try to use your thoughts, incorporate them into the show. So always, we encourage it. And whether you are listening to Locked on Lakers, watching Locked on Lakers, always be subscribing so you never miss a show. Last week, Brian and I talked with Tim MacMahon about his new book, The Wonderboy, Luka Dončić and the Curse of Greatness, which was released earlier this week, Tuesday, March 25th. And we covered a lot of ground. And the interview was too long for the Locked on format. But rather than cut it up into a ton of different edits and whatnot, we ultimately thought that does not serve our audience as well. We want you guys to get as much insight as possible. So we divided it up into an installment for the entire week. And today we cover Luka's relationship with teammates and whether he is set up for success and happiness long-term with the Lakers. So here is the third and final part of our conversation with Tim MacMahon.
Tim MacMahon with Wonderboy. It's just a really great book about Luka and a great way for Lakers fans to get to know their newest star, their newest vengeful and spiteful and angry star, we hope. How are the Lakers doing in terms of setting up an architecture around him that is going to make him happy, that is going to give the best possibility for him to be successful here over the long term? What should they be doing?
Well, I think they're off to a hell of a start, and I think there were some really critical things that were in place, frankly, coincidentally or fortunately, in place before they even imagined that this trade was possible. Like the fact that JJ Redick, who's proven he's a damn good coach, like, okay, he can coach at higher than the sixth grade level. We know that for sure now. But JJ very briefly was Luka's teammate with Dallas, but they clicked. And, like the fact that, and I know Luka referenced this during his first press conference, the fact that Luka went on JJ's podcast twice, again, the guy who treats media like math homework, that tells you how much he actually really likes and appreciates and enjoys JJ Redick. And, when I was in LA, when the Mavericks played the Lakers, I asked JJ, I was like, okay, I know you got a really good relationship with Luka. How do you kind of transition from buddies to that coach-player dynamic? And JJ said, basically, he said, hey, are you okay with being coached hard? And are you okay with direct communication? Luka said yes on both, and, off they go. And so I think that's a great coach to be in place coincidentally, for Luka to play with. The fact they made that trade for Dorian Finney-Smith, Dorian Finney-Smith is one of Luka's all-time favorite teammates. And look, they gave him up in the Kyrie trade. At that point, they so desperately needed a co-star. But it had, Luka had talked multiple times over the last couple of years of I think Dodo's going to be back here at some point to talk about in Dallas. So the fact that he was in LA, my guy Dodo, and knows how to play off Luka's like a perfect complementary fit. That's awesome. And then, LeBron, Luka grew up, he couldn't watch a bunch of NBA games, but he could see highlights. I like that. He could see highlights and grew up, LeBron was one of his idols growing up in Slovenia and then in Spain. Immense respect. And they had a kinship. I can't say the name of the chapter, but we'll shorten it, Bad MFer from early in Luka's second season when LeBron's greeting him and the ESPN cameras caught it. You were bad, that kind of mutual respect. And Luca loved LeBron so much. The first time they played each other, Luca, like a little kid, stands outside. He didn't even understand it. You send an equipment guy or whatever, or a locker room attendant. He stood outside the Lakers locker room to ask LeBron, hey, will you please sign your jersey for me? That's how much he loved and adored LeBron. And then, look, they're going about things the right way. They're embracing the people who are around Luca.
Mm-hmm.
That was not the case, certainly this year in Dallas. And it's funny, I was waiting to go to the post-game press stuff the other night, and I'm kind of waiting, in that hallway outside the Lakers locker room. And I saw Rob Pelinka. He wasn't wearing that Fonzie leather jacket, but he was wearing something similar.
He has a variety,
but he had the sleeves pushed up and the $100,000 watch on. Anyways, but he's walking with Luca to the locker room, and he puts his arm. He's got his arm around Luca, and he's whispering sweet nothings in his ear. And I was like, boy, that's a little bit different than the way things went down with the previous GM this season. And then look. They clearly understand there's a significant hole on this roster, right? And Jackson Hayes is filling it to the best of his abilities now. But I think you're seeing with Jackson Hayes just how much Luca can maximize that type of rim running, lob catching big. They temporarily addressed it with the Mark Williams trade that wasn't, with all the stuff that Pelinka was able to keep in his pocket somehow when the Mavericks traded this generational talent. But look, I'll tell you this. They understand its priority. It's not like they need Luka to tell them. I'm pretty sure they've seen this guy run pick and roll for the last 6.5 years. It doesn't take a basketball genius to say, hey, you give that dude a lob threat. Oh, baby. And that archetype of big man will be lining up to get to the Lakers. I can promise you that.
Speaking of teammates and Luka and the idea of the Lakers looking to build around Luka now and in the future, one of the things that jumped out at me in the book was how a lot, not all of it, but a lot of the clashes that Luka had with Rick Carlisle were less about him and Rick Carlisle and more about teammates. And, like the way he felt Rick Carlisle was not treating Dennis Smith Jr. well, or Luka got upset at the way Harrison Barnes found out that he was getting traded during a game, live TV, that sort of it seems like he has pretty strong relationships with teammates, like that he does well in a locker room. A, is that accurate? And then B, is there any particular type that Luka seems to gravitate towards or do well with?
Yeah, I would say that's accurate for the most part. There have been exceptions. It's certainly accurate with teammates who Luka respects. Can he be disrespectful of teammates if he feels like they're not holding their weight? Like, will he look at the bench in the middle of action and say, get him out of here? Yeah, he'll do that on occasion. And look, there was the typical young co-star tension with him and Porzingis. Obviously, we delve into that. Their relationship by the end was fine. The Mavericks just decided Porzingis wasn't a fit and moved on from him. But that was your typical young, ambitious co-stars. Porzingis admits, in hindsight that, hey, it was tough for him to accept it wasn't a 1A, 1B. It was Luka's show, and you're part of the, you're like the headliner of the backup singers. Luka, I think, has grown in his understanding of, okay, you've got the ball, you've got the keys. Part of that, the responsibilities are the ability to empower your teammates, involve your teammates, those sort of things.
It's very similar to how Kobe grew in the time that we covered Kobe. Like the idea of trusting your teammates, but also you are the one empowering them. It's not just a matter of them keeping up with you. You are the one actually helping them keep up with you. That is actually not just part of the responsibility, but part of the literal power you have as a player.
Yeah. And then as far as the Rick Carlisle relationship, I go into depth on that team meeting in Toronto. That was literally a week into Luka's career. It was a disaster of a team meeting. It cracked and permanently damaged the foundation of probably the most important relationship for the franchise at the time. And he had a lot of success under Rick. And I think Rick accelerated Luka's ascension into superstardom. Because look, there were a lot of doubts about whether Luka could be a primary ball handler. That's one of the reasons he wasn't the no-brainer first overall pick. And Rick, didn't only give him the ball, but then built an offense to maximize him. But the personal relationship there was strained, to say the least, for almost their entire time together, and that put an expiration date on it.
And we're going to take a quick break to let you know that Locked On Lakers is brought to you by FanDuel. March Madness is here. FanDuel giving you a chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets. When your first $5 bet wins, it's $200 extra to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. You can stay in the action with tournament games happening almost every day. There's always something exciting to bet on. Plus, it's easy and it's fast. The FanDuel app, super simple to use, and when you win, when I win, when everybody wins, you get paid instantly. There's no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com, get in on the college hoops action all tournament long.
When you look at the where we are now with the conference, with the Lakers, Andy and I didn't quite buy into this is a trade for the future for the Lakers. They'll take a step back this year to take a step forward, mostly because they added Luka Dončić. It's like, are we sure they're going to get worse? They just added the third, fourth, fifth best player in the NBA to go along with LeBron James, to go along with Austin Reeves.
Yeah.
When you see what they've done, when you see how crowded the Western Conference is, including the Mavericks, if they can ever get everybody back on the floor.
Not including the Mavericks.
Okay, not including
Kyrie's not coming back.
We have a lot of people who still come here from.
Kyrie's not coming back this year.
Oh, that's true.
So yeah.
With Kyrie, maybe without. I think that's probably true. But where do you see the Lakers landing here? Because I don't think they're going to be afraid of anybody, and we really haven't seen them with against Oklahoma City, with OKC looking the way they do now with so much more size, and the Lakers with Luca, LeBron, Reeves as the core.
Yeah, so OKC is the clear-cut favorite, no question about that. Now, the Mavericks beat OKC last year, interestingly, despite Luca not having even a decent series by his standards. Like Lou Dort's tough, and Luka will tell you Lou Dort's top 3 perimeter defender in the league, and it was Lou Dort with a lot of help, and they really, like Luka and Kyrie combined to average 40 points in that series, almost 20 less than their season average, and it was the PJ Washingtons and Derrick Jones Jr.'s that really won that series for the Mavericks. But there will be no fear. There will be no fear. There's like, Luka and LeBron aren't going to walk out on any floor in any arena and not think that they're going to be able to win that game or win that series. OKC is the clear-cut favorites. I was disappointed that we didn't get to see in either of the last couple meetings a reasonable rematch of the Lakers and the Nuggets. And I know the one time Luka was in uniform and the Nuggets, I don't remember if Gordon played in that game or not, but the Nuggets had their stars. The Lakers smacked them. Now, obviously, the Nuggets have a pretty long history of whooping that Laker ass. I think if you're putting them in the pecking order, I still would put Denver above them. But then the Lakers are right there. You got to give them at least a puncher's chance. And the most impressive thing to me about what the Lakers have been able to accomplish since the trade, where at this point we got to say, look, man, the defense is on paper it doesn't make sense, but on the floor you got to respect it. You got to respect the consistency of it, and you got to respect the statistical evidence of it. Mm-hmm. That's really impressive, and the fact they were able to put together so many wins. Well, Luka wasn't full-blown Luka for a while. It was, it really was like Luka coming off of, like he was coming out of training camp in the preseason where he was out the whole time. This was the longest injury absence of his career in this case. But early this season, Luka wasn't right. The efficiency was way down. He's not hitting threes when he doesn't have his leg. His three-point shooting's not good, and then they're still winning. They're winning games when Luka's shooting in the 30s from the floor. Are you kidding me? And full-blown, like we got a glimpse of it the other night in the first quarter against Denver. Certainly the game in Denver, when Joker and those guys were healthy, you got a glimpse of it then. The crazy thing is you have not seen like, oh, wow, Luka performance yet in a Lakers uniform. And those will come. Those are on the horizon.
Yay. I'm excited. He is Tim MacMahon. We lied to you, Tim. We kept you longer than we said we would, but that's just how we do it. The book is The Wonderboy, Luka Dončić and the Curse of Greatness. You can always, of course, follow Tim with his work at ESPN. Thank you so much for the time. It's good to talk to you again.
Well, I really appreciate you guys having me, and I think I'll be talking to you again soon.
You will be talking with me on Lakers Talk. That will be for a show that will be on, I believe, March 28th. Friday, sometime between 6 and 8 p.m. Pacific time. Like Brian said, appreciate the time, brother. Thank you.
I appreciate you guys. Adios, amigos.
And thanks to Tim MacMahon. Again, the book is The Wonderboy, Luka Dončić and the Curse of Greatness. Laker fans should definitely check it out to get better insights into the guy that is hopefully the franchise face for the Lakers for many, many years to come. We will see everybody after Saturday's game in Memphis against the Grizzlies. Until then, see y'all later.